What up, YouTube? You already know. Big Loot tapping back in. What it do? Big Loot NFDR 2, baby. So you guys already know. And if you don't know, first time you're coming to the channel, be highly appreciated if you sub, like, to share the channel with your family, friends, folks, people, gente, buddies, pals, amigos, and like us Puertorriqueños, Boricuas, Jibaritos, Potorros, PRs, Ricans, say panas, right? Um, I don't know how long this video is gonna be. Maybe not long, hopefully not long, because I don't want to shed light, or not so much shed light, but on what I'm gonna shed light on. I don't want to give them too much too much time. I heard my brother Carlos say today on the channel that we're giving these motherfuckers too much airtime, and we're speaking about them too much. But at the same time, and I agree with him totally, 114%. But at the same time, I think it needs to be brought up, and that seed needs to be planted in some of these people's minds so they can really process what's being said and how much of a crock of shit it is. You know what I'm saying? Excuse the bulls, they're snoring. I just took them for used the restroom, and then we came into the car. Everybody's asleep in the house, so I don't want to wake them up, but I needed to get this video out. Also, it was a trip too, because I was already planning on doing this video after seeing this SoFlo show this morning. And then Jeff Nadu did a video as well, and so I watched some of it, and then I'll finish watching the rest of it. But let's make this clear right now. I want to make this clear right now. When it comes to guys like Jeff Nadu from Sit Down, what is his channel called? Sit Down Mafia History Podcast or something like that. Also Tom Lavechia from Armchair NBA. Also RJ Roger from formerly of Black Handprint Mafia. I don't know what he's doing with that channel, but now he's teamed up on a channel called No Excuses. Okay, so these three individuals, these three gentlemen, and I'm pretty sure there's another few, but these three guys, I watch their channels, right? I support their channels. Tom, I have many conversations with Tom. I've had many conversations with Tom in the past. Haven't spoke to him recently, probably in about a month, but Mikey D. Leonardo Jr., I talked to him pretty regularly. He's been on the channel a couple of times, and we're looking forward to bringing him on again. And so anyhow, what I'm getting to is that these guys, all three of these individuals that I just named, any three of them never claimed to be street guys, never claimed to be involved in the criminal lifestyle, criminal activities, period, let alone being involved or associated with, other than family members being married in one person's case. Tom Lavechia, only thing he's ever said was he has a family member that's married to somebody, and another family member married to somebody else that's related to somebody else. That's it. Never claimed to be a street guy, like I said. So these guys get attacked for doing what they like to do, right? They like to research the Cosa Nostra and other criminal organizations and such, right? And make videos. So they get attacked, for being Tom always gets attacked for platforming rats and blah blah blah. But you know what? This is his niche. This is what he wanted to do. If you guys know Tom Lavechia, he not attacks, but he goes after the business aspect of it, right? He wants to know, he tries to get down to the nitty gritty on the business part of it, what they were making. And he spoke to he spoke to Francis, Sammy, Panisi used to be his partner, Luisi, Luisi's cousin, I can't even think of his name right now, Larry Mazza, and I believe there's one more. That's 6, but I know he said he's talked to 7. Oh, Arlada, that's 7. 7 actual button guys that had their button, right? From Philadelphia to Massachusetts, New York, obviously, and so he's a business guy. He's got his MBA. So does RJ Roger. RJ Roger now is teamed up with Mikey D. Leonardo Sr. and he gets a lot of shit talk to him for, whatever, being a black dude. I don't know what the fuck, you know what I'm saying? Platforming rats and this and that. But like I said, this, a lot of these stories that people are intrigued by and like to hear, such as myself, I'm not going to lie about that, right? We wouldn't know it if it wasn't for these people that either informed or cooperated, right? And it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? But my point to this video is, on top of what I just said about these three individuals and what they do, you know what I'm saying? They have a channel, they do content, they try to bring most of the time they don't touch on active stuff. It's usually older stuff that's been well documented, and things of that nature. But what Jeff touched on, and also this morning, SoFlo was like, he played he played this thing that's Sammy the Devil. I call him Sammy the Devil. That's the little toy. They're smashing on it. They're laying on it, so it makes that noise. He was tripping. He was like, "What the fuck?" And but I think what he was missing this morning was that Sammy never said indefinite. This dude was, hooked up with Tony Pep, and he was a tough guy, an enforcer, or whatever. He said allegedly. He didn't use the word allegedly. He said, to my understanding. So whatever this dodo bird told him, el canto de mierda, right? That means piece of shit, right? Or like they say in the West Coast slang, pedazo de mierda, piece of shit, same thing. That's his story. Oh yeah, my first bosses were, Mikey Francis, and then I worked for Sammy, so he uses that. And then when Sammy reached out to him on Facebook or whatever, yeah, they might be friends. Somebody was like, oh, they're friends, they're actually friends, okay, they might be. That don't mean they know each other, or that don't mean anything, you know what I'm saying? And so there's been probably 15, 20 guys that went by something pizza. Tony Pizza sounds so freaking common in that world, like Smith, you know what I'm saying? Tony Pizza, Sammy Pizza, Sally Pizza, uh, uh, you know, uh, Tommy Pizza, you know what I'm saying? Tommy Salami, you know what I mean? So all that type of nicknames, they probably come a dime a dozen, not necessarily a dime a dozen, but they're more, more popular than you would think, right? And so when that question came across, do you know Tony Pizza, Anthony Caruana? Now, for whatever reason, this dude's changed his name. His last name is McCarthy. That's straight Irish, right? It's McCarthy, M-C, not M-A-C, which would be Scottish. McCarthy. It's McCarthy, right? He said, oh, yeah, we're Italian. We're from Malta. Malta is not Italian, right? Malta was at one point ran by Sicily, but you're talking like 500 years ago, right? It was ran by the king or whoever was in charge of Sicily, right? Because I looked up this stuff. So Maltese is not, if from my understanding, anybody correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. If you hear this, I believe the only three, you got mainland Italy, right? And you got the island of Sicily, and you got the island of Sardinia. I believe Sicily and Sardinia both fly under the Italian flag. I'm pretty sure about that. I know Sicily, but I'm pretty sure Sardinia also. If I'm incorrect, somebody correct me. Because I had met a guy in the joint one time. He was half Sardinian or I don't know if it's Sardinian or Sardinese, Sicilian, Sardinian. I think it's Sardinian. He was half Sardinian and half Nicaraguense, half Nicaraguan. His mother was Nicaraguan. His father was from Sardinia. So he had the Italian. He had the valve on the last name, in the end of his name. So he had the Italian last name, but he spoke Spanish as well. And it was a little trip because he was kind of racist. I don't understand how when you're half Nicaraguan, and he had real kinky hair, nappy hair, you know what I'm saying? It just didn't match right. And I think what it was is that he was raised with his father, not with his mother or her side of the family. So he was more, in his mind, he was most, he was really Sardinian, you know what I'm saying? Or I don't know if they even, because you hear some people say, most of the time when you're Sicilian, you let it be known that, no, I'm not Italian, I'm Sicilian. You know what I'm saying? But then other times of conversations, yeah, you'll go along with Sicilian. So I don't know if Sardinian, if they make a point to correct that and let it be known, no, I'm from Sardinia, or if they'll just roll with being called Italian. I'm not sure. about that, so I'm not speaking on that, but I'm asking anybody out there that knows, because I know a lot of you guys out there, a lot of you folks out there are very intelligent and know a lot of things about a lot of things. You feel me? And so, anyways, back to what I'm saying now. From my knowledge and what I've seen and read, and this goes with movies, also TV shows, books, magazines, newspaper articles, things like that. A male to an Italian family is like, oh, you know what I'm saying? It's like royalty, you know what I'm saying? And the boys are cherished, even though the girls will get, they'll get, spoiled and stuff like that. Usually the boy is like, this is our boy, the Sicilian Italian culture. That's a big deal. So if you're Italian or Sicilian and your mother says you're a scumbag, right? But we know the truth though. You're not really Italian. Or Sicilian. You're Irish, right? Which is nothing wrong with it. But what I don't understand is why lie? You know what I'm saying? Why lie? You're treated a certain way. And it's just strange to me that if you're really Italian or Sicilian and you're a male, a boy, a son, that you would be, that your relationship will be like this with your parents or your mother in this case. You know what I'm saying? It just makes no sense to me because it's bullshit, right? Another thing, guys that are from that life, and I'm speaking of from the OC cats that I even know, right? Because California's a little different. Like I always tell you guys, that inside of prison runs the outside when it comes to here. But nonetheless, these dudes consider themselves, even though they started on a gangbanging level originally, now they're mafiosos, right? And they don't think like that no longer. They retrain their mind to get rid of any gangbanging thoughts they might have had, right? Okay, at the same time, there's no sex play talk. And what I mean by that is when you and your friend, you and your homies are messing around, you might say, suck my blah, fuck you, fool, suck my thing, whatever it might be. That's considered sex playing, right? That's a no-no in the pen. Even at the low level, it's a no-no with like the people who my peoples are, right? And so when you get at that level as an actual made member, taking that blood oath and a mafioso, you are definitely not talking like that, right? So I find that another thing I find strange is this dude's always making homosexual comments and stuff, right? Which we call, like I said, sex playing, right? It's just, that's strange to me. It's strange to me the way he speaks. Convicts, most convicts don't, and I'm not disrespecting nobody when I say this, but the way he speaks is like a Wood talks. And the CDC, California Department of Correction, the way the Woods talk, which are white dudes, right? That's how this dude talks, and everybody knows if if you're a made guy or a fucking a tough, associate, you're gonna carry yourself with a more professionalism mannered. You're gonna take it to a different level. You're gonna be well mannered. You're gonna carry yourself in a professional manner at all times, and you're gonna, you're basically not gonna be spreading around garbage and gossip, right? Because that a lot of times will get you in trouble, big trouble, right? Okay, so he speaks like this all the time, right? Another thing, come on, man, you've been, you said from 84 to 98 you were on the streets and you were doing big things, and you not big things as far as making money, but big things as far as being the enforcer for the Gambinos, you say, right? And you don't want to talk about the stuff. Okay. You get out in what did you say? I think you said you were off the grid from 97 or 98 until 2001, or maybe it might have been 2004. But for a period of time there, no more than 7 years and no less than 4 years, you were off the grid, is what you said. Okay. Meaning, I took that as you were in the joint, right? Okay. One thing, you can't remember any prisons you're in. That's fucking weird. You can't remember any of your numbers. That's fucking weird. You don't forget that shit. I got 4 fucking numbers that I've had 4 numbers, and I can tell you all of them right there. Boop, 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 boop. Not to mention, there's county jails that once you go to their facility, it's called a PFN number, your personal file number. Certain county jails, not all of them over here, but some of them. Alameda County, it's called a PFN. Santa Clara County, it's called a PFN. Sacramento County, it's called excuse me, let me take that back. Alameda County and Santa Clara County are called PFN numbers, your personal file numbers. Sacramento County is called your X reference number. Okay, once you get that number, you never get another number. Okay, so I remember my Alameda County number, and I remember my Sacramento County number like that. I can recite it to you. Okay, then I have 4 CDC numbers, 4 California Department of Correction numbers. I can recite all of them to you like that. Okay, I can tell you dates that I was in certain buildings, I was in certain yards. I can give you 5 to 10 names of homeboys that were with me in those buildings and on those yards at any given moment that you ask me. Now, I'm not expecting him to be like that because I'm like that, and my peoples are like that because we have to constantly, every time we're moved, we have to answer these questions again, and we have to give certain information to our own peoples within our own collective. Okay, so I don't expect him to know all those things, but I do expect him to know what joints he been to, what county lockups he been to, and where the fuck, and his numbers, which he can't tell you any of those, right? It's fucking weird, right? Because, you know, what that boils down to is bogus, it's bullshit, it's straight lies, mentiras, right? Es un mentiroso, he's a liar, right? Embuste, right? Okay. Another thing, you were doing these things with certain guys on the streets. Some of these guys were very powerful guys. Okay, I get it. Some of them are locked up now. At that time when you got out, and I think he either said 01 or 04. And if not, it was in between there when he got out. But he did go in. I heard him say 97 or 98 because I heard him make the comment that from 84 until 98 or 97, he was on the street and he was enforcing, right? Okay, but he didn't want to talk about the stuff, which if it's true, I get why. But we know it's not. Okay, the other part about it is you go to jail, you get out, you're homeless for 16 fucking years, dude. 16 years? Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, according to you, you were the stand-up dude, man. You were out there handling business for people, collecting and all that. Well, what do enforcers do, right? Enforcers usually go break legs, go tune guys up when they're late on payments, go collect the payments, right? And any little beef you might have, whoever you're under has a beef, or they might need guys to go break up a picket line or whatever it might be. You know what I'm saying? So you earn good reputations with folks, and they'll look forward, not look forward, but in the future they will pay back favor for favors. Basically, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. So if they see you in a time of need, they'll help you out. You know what I'm saying? With a job, with the place to stay, a car. I've seen this shit happen over and over again where guys get out, they're given 5, and this is years back. So this is when the money was more valuable, right? As far as how much it means for today. So I'm talking about like mid 80s, early 80s guys getting out, given $5,000, given a pistol, given a car, and then given their own sack to get going. You know what I'm saying? Their own bundle to get going. This is what they did for each other. You know what I'm saying? Now, I know the drug policy when it comes to CN is different. A lot of them are doing it, but it's more like don't get caught, right? But it's just all that shit's bogus. It's all bogus. It's all straight bullshit. This motherfucker is not who he says he is, right? He's just lying. And then 2-3 years, he's been on definitely over 2 years now. He ain't said nothing about nothing. Okay, so that's that clown, right? Overall, the rest of these clowns, right? Minus Mikey Scars and Dominic Sicali, and I'll say Mikey Francis too to a certain degree, but the rest of them, Gravano, a lot of them, all the rest of them, they're always the hero. Everybody else come from scum. Their families are shit. They're just scum people, garbage people, but they're fucking so good. They're the heroes. Anybody knows, just common sense. After hearing those tapes, there was nothing that Gotti Sr. was going to be able to do to get out of there. Nothing, right? This little devil had that ace in his back pocket. Let me make this up about the Castellano hit, about them being on the scene, and a few other things that he threw out there. Is he telling the truth on a lot of this stuff? Probably. You know what I'm saying? As far as because an investigator ain't gonna just take his word and just run with it. They're gonna have things looked into. You know what I'm saying? And then a lot of times people, once they get caught, like as far as like what I mean by that is like the jurors that they bribe, they're gonna end up breaking it down and admitting to what they did, right? But this fool's trying to change change history. Everybody, like I mentioned before in another video, everybody from back then is dead. Majority of the main players, like I said, Frankie DeChico, Joe Butch, Carraro, Joe Gallo, Piney, I said DeChico already. Frankie Lope, John Senior, Jimmy Brown, The Chin, John Riggy. All these guys are dead. John Gambino, all the guys that he told on are dead, right? The only ones that are alive that might be able to speak up and say that he's straight lying is probably Genie Gotti and John Jr. Charles, whatever Koenig, I think it's Johnny Koenig. You know what I mean? But they're not gonna say nothing. You know what I'm saying? And he knows that too. So he's just trying to change history. Was he an important guy at the time? Hell yeah. Was he a strong figure, a powerful figure within the Borgata and amongst the other four Borgatas? You damn right he was. But at the same time, like I mentioned this before, he can say all he wants about because he makes it sound like he's done so much time and he was always fighting murder cases. And he's full of shit, right? He got 22 years in prisons, but he never keeps it real about the last 17 plus he did was in PC, right? Now, I'm not saying the guys there in PC are not fools, right? What I mean by fools are like they'll stick you, they'll kick some shit off, they'll lay the whole fucking yard down. But at the same time, you do lose a little, how would you say that? When you go that route, sometimes these guys were straight killers and sometimes they go straight asshole backwards once they make that decision to go PC and start telling. And what I mean by like asshole backwards is, sometimes they turn into like, I'm not going to say they turn into like sissies, as far as like chumps, like as far as being all of a sudden like a pussy, but they do turn all of a sudden homosexual and they start messing with punks. They start becoming a jailhouse, basically like always letting the cops know what's going on with other, PC inmates. They become part of the inmate task force type shit, right? That's what I mean by going asshole backwards sometimes. These dudes that were really part of organizations, especially prison organizations, you think, when they go that route and tell and they say they're done, they're tired of the politics, they don't forget everything they learned. What I mean by that, they don't forget how to construct weapons, how to, where the places are to hit somebody to bleed them out quickly and those type of things. That's what I meant by what I'm saying here. And he brings up, he was ever corn-fed and, another AB dude, but what he don't mention is that those dudes were in the hat. They're not active, you know what I'm saying? But the way he tells the story is they gave me the green light to get this tattoo, you know what I'm saying? Which is straight bullshit. Dominic Cicali likes him, right? Okay, that's fine, you know what I'm saying? Because Dom Cicali knows him from what he knows him from, them doing time together, the shit they talked amongst each other, but I don't think really Dom knows what he's doing as far as like trying to change history and stuff like that. I don't think he's really aware of all that, and he says that, he deserved respect for what he lived. And how? Deserve respect. Why? Because he fucking had his hand in 19 murders and he was making big money. That's it. That's enough. When he was just a dirtbag all along, knocking off all these people just to take over the business because he wanted to be, he wanted all that money coming his way. Mike Scars did say that, he always kicked up to the family. He never was accused of withholding funds or anything like that, misappropriating funds or burning the family. None of that. But he was always, he had the boss's ear, and a lot of times he could just put something in the boss's ear and the boss would let him handle it. You know what I'm saying? And then by the time Senior figured, was like, what the fuck's going on here with this bullshit? It was too late both ways because he was being recorded, didn't know it. And for two, the murders were already done and he felt like a jackass. You know what I'm saying? And when it's come down to it, this motherfucker never done time. He couldn't do time. That's the fucking problem. It was weighing on him all along, and he finally seen a little opening that he can get his fucking big head through and then bust it open, get his big ass head through. He seen an opening like that, got his head through there and busted that shit wide open like a wedge in a fucking log, you know what I'm saying? Making firewood and shit, you know what I'm saying? And he seen his opportunity and he got ghosted. And then, of course, they fucking rush him down to Quantico under heavy fucking security. You know what I'm saying? Blah blah blah. And and that's the government's fault too. I'm glad they look like dummies and assholes for making that deal with this dumb fuck. You know what I'm saying? Making a deal with this dude, because all he did was, he tried to say, "Oh, John trying to throw me under the bus," and then he got his daughter Karen saying the same shit. Like, come on, lady, you need to stay in your motherfucking lane. You don't know what the fuck is going on. You know what I mean? But what's this dodo bird do? Not only do they allow him to keep all his millions of dollars, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not sure what happened on that Sons of Sam deal with the book and all that in New York, because at that point he wasn't living in New York, so I don't know if that pertained to him or not. I'm not really sure. I think Ron Kirby was the lawyer for the families, the Garofalo daughter, and Michael DeBat's sister and family, and who else was there? Louis Melito's daughter and ex-wife or wife. And I'm not sure Joey Faraci and that family was there, but I know they were trying to go at him for money and the Sons of Sam. Basically, what that means, peoples, if you don't know, is that it's a New York state law about profiting off of, I guess, books or movies or anything. Basically, I think it just boils down to profiting off of crimes that were committed. So he writes a book telling his story, his life story, and then he gets all this money. And it was written through Peter Moss. So I don't know how that comes into play. If it's just Sammy's portion of the books is taken, if it was ruled that way, or if it's the whole everything about the book, which I don't think so, because Peter Moss was his name was all over that. Excuse me. So, it's just the way this guy talks, and then I guess Jeff said that somebody had said something in the comment section about him being a rat or something like that, and he agreed, yes, he is a rat, which he is a fucking rat. But then his team got a hold of him saying something like, "Hey, he's a government witness. He's not a rat." And again, that's what I was saying. These guys will not admit that they're a fucking rat, and that goes for Panisi, that goes for fucking Borillo, Mazza, you know. I'm trying to think if I can't remember if what Hootie's deal is, because I don't really think Hootie was, and I could be wrong about this too. I don't think Hootie actually gave up any information. I think what happened was Hootie took a plea bargain. What did he call that? A global plea. He took a global plea or something like that. And I think he might have. I'm trying to remember. I know he took a global plea, and I think some guys looked down on that. But I want to say that he might have sat down and did a Queen of the Day. But don't quote me on that, because that's not what I'm saying. I'm trying to remember. And whatever they were saying, but I think what it really boiled down to about the Queen of the Day was he was being accused of it, but he really didn't do it. Something like that. And you know what? Like I've said this before, man. Yes, some of these dudes' situations were fucked up. No doubt about it. If it's all legit, what John Panisi saying, come on, you got guys calling you rats. The upper, not so much the administration, but the upper echelon. Your crew chief, your capo. You know what I'm saying? And a couple of his brothers or whoever. Or I'm pretty sure that's how it went. And how are you supposed to handle that? And so he, according to him, he went a month. I mean, excuse me, a month. He went a year and some change, going to Georgia, different places, and then eventually he went and did what he did. Now again, I still don't agree with that. Somebody telling like that. But I think in his case it was a lot different, because by that time they weren't killing people. So basically, all information he gave up was like people's positions, and people's business, like gambling, loan sharking, things of that. Maybe some assaults, stuff like that. I don't think he gave up any information on murders. Nonetheless, I'm not saying it was cool. But there's levels to all this shit. There's levels to ratting. There's levels to being a gangster. There's levels to everything. But you hear some of these other guys too. Trying to minimize shit. Well, I didn't take a blood oath. That doesn't matter either. If you're in the street doing dirt, and you're doing dirt with guys that did take a blood oath, and guys that are recognized, excuse me, well, yeah, recognized with, on record with crews of families, Borgatas, you know what time it is, man. There ain't no such thing as, oh, well, I didn't take a blood oath, so No, 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 no. It don't work that way, man. It don't work that way. You know what you're doing when you get involved. You know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? You know what's involved. If you don't know what's involved, you're just that naive and gullible. I can't believe I can't accept that. I can't say, oh yeah, you're right. Oh yeah, you didn't see that coming. No, and a lot of problems, a lot of like I've said this too many times. A lot of times these fucking dudes are quick to judge other guys when something comes up. Like maybe they might say, hey, did you hear about so and so? This happened. And instead of them trying to find out exactly what happened and keep their mouth shut until they get more details or all the details, they're quick to point their finger. Hey, so and so, Sally Balls did this, or Sally Joe did this, Mustang Sally did that, and you're already like this instead of fucking, keeping your mouth shut instead of already politicking against somebody, right? And that's the problem too with a lot of these guys. There's a lot of guys that like to be involved in every fucking thing. They got their nose in everybody's business, and it comes back to bite them in the ass, right? They want to be part of, and that's what that Dodo Bird JC reminds me of. He wants to be involved with every fucking thing. He got his mouth open about every fucking thing, and he sounds like a fucking idiot when he starts talking prison politics and street politics. He's never been to the joint. You know what I'm saying? And if he did been to and if he has been to the joint, I highly doubt it 114%, but he carries himself like a clown. Like, you know what I'm saying? The shit he says is like amateur shit, and then he's talking about some of the things he's talking about was stuff that was in effect years ago that's no longer in effect. And it just sounds it sounds weird because he's over there trying to be, he's trying to push a hard line from an avatar, you know what I'm saying? But then he's consorting with fucking rats, legitimate rats. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's nothing wrong with that. Like at one point in time, I used to watch Jimmy Calandra. I used to be on his channel because he was with the message towards youngsters. I was with that. I supported the message. I didn't support what he did. I always said it. He did what he did, and he would have to answer for it one day if they come after him, right? But as soon as I heard him make statements about rats are the winners, and people that didn't tell are the losers, and they're rotting away in prison, and certain people deserve to be in there rotting away, and their kids belong in there with them, and just making bogus claims about people need to get the RICO Act, and the Justice Department was on his side. I can't support that. And like a man, I text, give me a call, gave me a call, I hit him up, and I let it at that. And I don't come out publicly talking shit about the guy at all. And I'm still not talking shit about him now because this is what I told him directly to the phone. This is the reason why I backed off, because I wasn't with that. The message was what I was with. Just like I told Dom, if you're really legit with this message towards the kids, I support that. But I don't support no other type of shit talking. You know what I'm saying? As far as not just saying, oh, fuck him, fuck that one, fuck this one. Oh, he's a chump. Oh, I seen him in the streets and he was a pussy, or anything like that. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is what I just referred to. When you start making comments about how, you know, rats are, did the best thing in the world, and, people that don't rat are, losers and that type of shit, what I'm talking about. Anytime you bring up the Justice Department, anytime that type of things, I'm not with any of that. Just because I'm not getting into crime, I'm not in trouble no more. I still have some beliefs that I hold, that I hold myself to, and I'll keep it real with you guys too. When I did start messing with Jimmy, my inner, I guess I call it my inner convict, was wrestling within myself on supporting the message and my inner, my ideology, and so I said, I'll never do that again. And what I mean by that is I'll never, reach out one way or another, be reached out to, or me reach out and, do, um, be on the show or anything like that. It's over with. Now me watching certain channels, like I said, I like to hear some of these stories about some of these well-known people that you hear about, but you don't know really nothing about because nobody's flipped like that or, came out. But now when you got these new stories like Dom Sakali and Mikey, Scars coming out with different stories, these guys were hooked up with real OG cats, Leonardo with D. Leonardo, excuse me, with Gotti Sr., with Gotti Jr., with Pete Gotti, with, Jackie Knows, with Frank Cali, you know what I mean? Vincent Baciano, Tony Green Urso, all these different guys. You know what I'm saying? And so it's interesting. It's very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, nobody would know anything if it wasn't for some form of informing and cooperating. So it might not have been a person that informed or cooperated, a bug, a wiretap, something that they're doing that's not to somebody's knowledge. Now, a bug, a wiretap falls under the same thing as somebody being an informant. People are getting information from whoever they're getting and then reporting back to the FBI or narcotics or undercovers or ATF or any of those agencies, entities and agencies to uh, help themselves out, by giving up information. That's an informant. A cooperator is somebody that got arrested and then decides to go ahead and work with the government. Okay, those are two different things, but yet you hear people always calling guys FBI informants, which they weren't an informant, they were a cooperator. They got arrested and then they fucking decided to, and whenever time it was, if they were locked up for a year or 2 years or 6 months or 3 months, and then they decided to flip and give information to the government. That's called a cooperator. That's not an FBI informant. An informant, again, is somebody that's giving information who is out there on the street that's either wearing a wire and then reporting back to his FBI handler, DEA handler, U.S. Marshal, whoever the fuck it is, and giving up information. Now, Joe Massino was an informant and a cooperator, but he was an informant wearing a wire while he was locked up. You know what I'm saying? So he did inform and then he also cooperated. So he was a double whammy, right? You got these other guys like I seen somebody say today, Panisi always comes across like he's the smartest guy in the room, which I gotta admit, not I have to admit, but I'm agreeing. I should have said I'm agreeing with that statement or that comment, because that is true. He's another one that makes himself sound like he's the righteous one, or he's the only one with brains and everybody else stupid. He's the only one that knows the life, and everybody else don't know the life, I will say this in his defense, I guess you can say. um I've heard this a few times. Oh, they didn't even want to make him. Well, if they didn't want to make him, they wouldn't have made him. You know what I'm saying? I mean, come on, you got to give some credit to Matty Madonna, even though some people don't like him, and Stephen Correa and Joe Napoli, because they had to say so on that. But to say, oh, they didn't even want to make him, then why did they make him? They wouldn't have made him. You know what I'm saying? Now, whatever happened with him, if he was really schizophrenic like that, or did he just really want to watch his back because of what he's seen over the years? That's the thing with these guys, man. Like even with this last bust with the Columbos, when Andy Russo went down before he died, and Benjamin Colosso, what is it? I think his name, Benjamin Claus and all them dudes. These guys are in their 80s. You know what I'm saying? Ralphie Di Matteo is what's in his 60s, and then you have what's his name, Vinny Union. These guys are all older guys getting caught on wiretaps. Was it because they were lazy and older and they didn't want to get up and go out and talk, and they're just talking on the phone? But this shit's happened over and over again for 30 years already now, at least 30 years. You figure you go back to the commission, that was 84 or 85, and they arrested them. When did they start the wiretaps and the bugs and all the surveillance on these guys? I'd probably say 6 months to 18 months before they actually arrested the guys, right? Then you can go back, you can still get also other times in the 80s and get bugs and wiretaps. And then you can go all the way back to the 60s when the Bonanno they were trying to kick him out of being the boss, and he pulled that shit that he got kidnapped. There's a, they called it something else too. I forgot what it's called. T3000, or I don't know what it was called. But they couldn't use it in court or anything like that because they illegally placed the bug. But it was like Sam the Plumber talking about the situation with Joe Bonanno, and I think even Tony Accardo or Giancana back in Chicago got caught on some bugs or something too, talking about the commission and things like that, dating back to like 55 or something like that, or even maybe 1959, 60, talking about when Albert was alive, that guy was the number 3 guy, I don't know if they said the 3 guy or number 2 guy. Then they were referring to the consigliere, Carlo Gambino. They didn't even know his name, and I guess he 3 years probationary period before he was 3 or 4 years. So 57 was I think it was October 1957, October 25th, 1957, when Anastasia was killed in the Sheraton Hotel, getting his hair cut and all that. They said Gambino didn't actually become the official boss until 61, that he was on an acting basis for like 3.5, 4 years. That was the first time I ever heard that tonight on Mob Archaeologist, which they got a good channel too. And so, you got all these different wiretaps dating back to the 50s. Guys were getting caught on, bugs or whatever you want to call it. So there's been a ton of guys getting caught on wiretaps, on bugs, on phone taps. And then here you got 2022 or late 2021, whenever that was when the Columbos got busted. These guys who've been to prison a ton of times already, such as Russo and Benny Claus, and here they are committing the same things that got them so many brothers in that life busted before. It just it's like you don't learn from your mistakes. So was John Panisi just really watching his P's and Q's when he would do the things he was doing, the method behind the so-called madness, right? Why they said he was paranoid and schizo, whatever, because he's seen this happen so many times before. So I can't call it like an alcoholic because I wasn't there, obviously, but I just can't go with the narrative that, oh, they didn't want to make him and because they knew he was fucking weird. Well, then they wouldn't have done it. You know what I'm saying? It's that simple. A lot of this shit's common sense, man, especially if you've been a criminal and been in that type of scenery. Even, the criminal thing is about, people telling and stuff like that. But when you're involved as an associate on the OC level, on the OC, and you're at the associate level, you know how things work, man. I don't give a fuck. You know what I'm saying? You know how things work. And so back to the net, back to what, Jeff was saying, why are we accepting this? Why are we accepting this on MobTube, on so-called MobTube? Now, I know a lot of people are going to say, oh, you're not part of MobTube and things like that, which, okay, whatever. But, a lot of these stories, man, people know it's straight bullshit, Now, I believe that people should just come out and say it. You know what? I think you're full of shit, but you know what? It's entertaining or something. I don't know, something, right? And then you got this other dude that, he's been through every aspect of criminal lifestyle as far as every fucking organization. He's seen it all. His stories don't even make sense. A guy told on him purposely so he can get caught with a knife so he didn't have to participate in something. Man, are you kidding me? You get caught with that knife like that, you're going to get more time just for that. And they're not going to transfer you to a lower level. Your points are going to go up for getting caught with a knife. So it's just straight stupid shit that just don't make sense. But I guess if you never lived that life at all, I guess you're just going to buy it. You know what I'm saying? Anything that's said, you're going to believe it. And it's a trip house. This dude that told that story, how he's blown up the way he has. And it's like, you talk about Colombian, he's been there. He was in Colombia doing things for them. Talk about Mexican cartels, all he been doing shit with them too. Pushing a bunch of weed, a bunch of coke, a bunch of everything. Getting into it with the shot caller, beating them up, and it's just everything he's done. And it reminds me of that other fucking jive ass motherfucker that was, like I say, tall as Blackjack Mulligan, the wrestler, and Python's as big as Hulk Hogan. He had this fucking all this military experience, and he had fucking the Purple Heart, and his dad was a war hero, and fucking it was all a bunch of bullshit, bogus ass bullshit, which we knew. But you know what? I didn't really go all out to say all that, but when certain people act a certain way, and like Tony Soflo says, you don't show your fucking face, but you're making comments about people's looks and shit like that and their families. Shout out to Carlos too. He said it many times. You just a mark, man. You just a straight mark. All you do is this. You're just a YouTube character, keyboard warrior / old school cell soldier, and you ain't about shit, and you ain't gonna bust a grape. You know what I'm saying? Just like the rest of these motherfuckers that's always rah, 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 rah about rats this, rats that, rah, 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 rah. They ain't gonna harm a hair on any of these motherfuckers' heads. Straight up. You know what I'm saying? They're all fucking joke. And Jeff said this too. These motherfuckers flip-flop like a motherfucker. One day they like this guy, a day or two later, maybe within the week, they don't like him. And it's selective outrage, and they want to go after this one and that one for being a so-called rat, which they probably are. But then when it comes to other situations, they go like this, with the blinders like a horse, and they don't even bother to look over there, and you got guys that done the same shit. It's fucking weird, comical. It's just weird more than anything. And then you got these minion motherfuckers that follow it and fucking and as long as they're behind their device, the comfort of their own home or wherever they're at, and behind their device, they push this narrative for these people, you know, and they do it at a high rate, in a rah rate, and they ain't about it, you know what I'm saying? And anybody that's a criminal, you know, they don't conduct themselves like this. So Tony Pizza, you know, then he fucking, and then too with this dude, he, you know, he threatens to call the cops and all kinds of fucking weird shit. You know what I mean? But at some point, man, people need to call these people out straight up. You know, I've had conversations with many people on the phone that tune into a lot of shows, and when we're talking on the phone, they're like, "Oh yeah, this dude, that one, this one, that one, a bunch of this, that, and the other," but they won't say shit in that chat. You know what I'm saying? And that's because they don't want to rock the boat. They don't want certain people to now turn around, get their attention on them, and now come after them and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Me, I don't give a fuck, right? I don't give a fuck. You got an issue with me, you guys know my name, you know where I'm at. Come on with it. You know, and I'm not a tough guy, but I ain't gonna let motherfuckers dictate what I do. And that's what they try to do. You know, come on, man. I mean, I've said this too before in conversations with my folks. After everything I've been through and what we've been through in our life, the no-fly zone, each individual, us as individuals, we're gonna listen to some dodo bird that don't even show his fucking face and got an avatar and just talks out of the side of his neck all day. Come on, man. You got me fucked up. You guys are really, really, really in some fucking la la land. That's for fucking sure. You know what I mean? But anyways, man, this, you know, I just wanted to bring this little video out and you know, touch some subjects real quick. I don't even think I spoke on a lot of things that I did wanted to bring up, but now I'm getting tired. It's 2:30 here in California. And I'm getting sleepy, and the clock's gonna go off in less than 2 hours, and I gotta go to work. So I just started to crash land now and started to get draggy and get tired. But yeah, it's just one of them things. But like I said, salute to Jeff Nadu, salute to RJ Rogers, salute to Tom Lavechia. You know what I mean? Keep doing you guys, and fuck these other motherfucking dodo ass birds that just talk out the side of their neck. You know what I mean? They ain't gonna bust a grape. Never would, never have, and never will. You know what I mean? They just like I said, they're just you know, safely behind their device and comfortably talking shit from wherever they're at. You know what I'm saying? If it's the basement, the attic, the coffee shop, wherever they're at, because they're on a fake name, you know, and I'm not gonna try to go find PFNs and find out who you are. I give a fuck. You know what I mean? It's not that serious. But I'll tell you this, if you get up on me and, you know, or near me and you talk that rah-rah shit, you better bring your A game. You know what I'm saying? I'll just say that. Bring your A game. You know what I mean? But we already know motherfuckers ain't gonna do it. They ain't about that life. Never was, never will. You know what I mean? It's just all pop, 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 pop out the side of their neck or talking out their ass. You know what I mean? Straight up. So with that being said, peoples, I'm gonna go ahead and shut this on down. Get these guys inside. Let them snore their asses off in there. You hear that? Let them use the bathroom again, and I'm gonna try to give me at least an hour and 20 minutes sleep. But I'll be dropping some videos tomorrow. Not really sure yet what I'm gonna do. Oh, I think I'm gonna do a video on the XL American Bullies, on what we got going on now. We added as everybody knows, we already added Maybelline, aka May, which is Daisy's aunt, her mother's littermate sister. But now we also added Vuitton, as in Louis Vuitton, which is their littermate brother. And so he's open for studying. If anybody's interested in him, he's the lilac tri male Merle that we have. He's 3.5 years old, 26-inch head. He's about 21 inches tall. He fluctuates between 110 and 120 in weight. Summer wintertime thing. He's already proved to be a producer. We have pictures of some of his pups. And we also have a red Merle, who's only 7 months old now. His name's Big Red. He's already 23 inches tall. He's about 85, 90 pounds right now. He's, like I said, he's 7 months old. He's going to be a very athletic dog, very tall. He's going to have some weight on him too, but he's going to be tall at the same time. And he's open for studying also. But he's only 7 months, so he's not ready. It'll be about another 4.5, 5 months till he's ready. And then you guys already know we got Champ, who's 4.5 months old. And, you know, he'll be ready around Christmas time, somewhere around there. Because he's born in December. So, yeah, he's born December 20th. So he'll be a year in December 20th. But anybody interested on the two males, hit me up on any of the videos or DM me on, or not, excuse me, drop a comment on any of the videos, and then or go to the about section on the page here, and the email is there. What to do with Big Lou, email is there. You can send me an email. Also, we're gonna be having breeding the females soon. We got Sombra, the black Ellis female, who's in heat now, and I think May's gonna be coming in heat soon. Daisy's in heat also, but we're not. She's too young. She's only 9 months. We're not messing with that. So that's where we're at. But again, everybody have a good rest of your night. If you guys are in the East Coast, it's about be morning. So have a good Wednesday at work or whatever you're doing. Good night.